screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Let me just I have multiple screens anyway, which is fine.
Does it
So
like it? Did they come out as a full screen itself?
yeah, it's coming as full screen. Yeah,
Okay,
present mode. Yeah.
that's
Good
good.
good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Apologies for the late start today. So today we'll be talking about data analysis for people who are looking to break into that space because it's one of the common questions I get. How do you get into data analysis and all of that? So I thought it was best to just bring somebody who is in that space to do justice to that question. We have Dr. Lolu with us. So he's a medical doctor and has moved into the data side of things. So I'll probably leave that to him to tell us why and why he left clinical practice. So I hope you guys find it interesting. So Lulu, over to you.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a long presentation. I don't plan to keep people here for long. But yeah, thanks for having me. From wherever you're, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, we're talking or breaking into data. I think the title is more of skills, tools, and career paths. Yes, let me just start. Go ahead for that now. Okay. Oh yeah. So there you see, Dr. Lolu Adebayo. I just basically just always go by data scientist, but that's my professional title. I just go by mainly I'm a problem solver. That's how I see myself. That's how I see myself in any situation and any meeting or any organization in which I am, being presented myself as a data scientist or a data specialist. And you can see I moved from the clinical aspect. A few years ago, I was still wearing my word coat about, I had about half a decade in clinical practice and stethoscopes and these, manometer as my main tools every morning. And then moved into being a data and problem solver, where I probably just, interact with data, interact with charts, interact with customers on a daily basis, trying to connect data to problems and produce, those business insights. Yeah, that's mainly what I do. And I mainly work around the healthcare sector now. I know there's some people around now, so I want to know like what industries are you people particularly working in? So if you don't mind sharing these industries.
Just pop it in the chat. I get that right to my own project management.
What else is popping up? Let's see. People, project management, healthcare, social housing. Very interesting. I've seen a lot of interesting data or heard a lot of interesting data from that actual sector. That was more, how would you even describe it? Government side, government industry. While the other people, I don't want to name names, but if you have time, you could just, pop in the chat while we're public health. Okay, great. Healthcare related as well. An iPhone user. Oh, currently healthcare. So that's nice. We're mainly, all of us are mainly in the healthcare industry. But yeah, so like I said, my background is, I studied in Nigeria, Lagos State College of Medicine, got my MBBS, I think it was almost a decade ago now. And I had my master's in health data science at Swansea University, where I graduated like with my MSc. And then since then, I've been working in the data field, multiple roles from private industry to academia, and now more in operations in public healthcare system or healthcare system, I'd say. So, I'm sure most of you actually know what this is. It's a saying they say now, like data is the new oil. That's data is in everything. And as data is the new oil, data is the new currency, data is the new money. Data basically moves businesses from, businesses to millions to billions in revenue. So being able to harness data is actually, where we're trying to get into here. And I don't know if anyone has read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Does anyone know the second habit? You can put that in the chat. I can give that like a few seconds. Anyone can put that in the chat. The second habit of highly effective people. Does anyone know that? About 5 seconds. Well, if you've not read the book, it's a great read by Dr. Stephen Covey. The second habit is begin with the end in mind. Like, where's your target? And I know this story starts, like you said, it's about skills, tools, and career paths. But that end part, I like to actually start from that end part, which is the career path, and then walk your way back. Because I believe usually when you decide your career path, it's easier to understand which steps you need to get in order to get to that end point. And if you decide like I think most people decide that it's healthcare they're interested in. If you decide, I still want to stay in the healthcare industry. So what are those data roles? What are those analytic roles within the healthcare industry that I can look up? You go on the internet. This is usually the strategy I tell people or the process. You go on the internet, LinkedIn, job sites, nhs.com, any job site, search those key roles, the care analyst, health intelligence analyst, surveillance, data science, BI analyst, any of those, and then look at what they are asking for. They are your customer. Because if you're trying to project a career, get a career path into that healthcare role or in data in that industry, the job description would basically tell you a roadmap. And that's what I was going to tell you, that, okay, this is what we want from our candidates. This is what we want you to know. This is what we need you to understand. This is the skills. These are the tools that we usually work with within this environment. And that will help because in a lot of different industries, a lot of different environments, they work with different tools. You can't take the same healthcare knowledge and try and sometimes apply it to maybe shipping. There are some things that could be interchangeable, but it's not one to one. So they're trying to basically curate yourself with that career path in mind. Like, okay, I want to be more of a healthcare analyst. I want to be more in maybe also the business kind of healthcare. And then that's why you now start to pick like which tools, which skills you need, which if you don't have the domain knowledge, how do you get that domain knowledge to get to that point that okay, you are at the precipice of entering that market. Instead, also put some of their relation to business. Because I believe there isn't any industry without a business. There isn't any industry right now. Be it healthcare. Healthcare itself has a business side. Be it logistics. Logistics has been, be it supply chain, they all have business. Be it government. Government itself has a business side. So some of this roles like people, supply chain analysts, people analysts, which is usually HR, yeah, analysts, the banking sector, data engineer, usually call across all industries. So it just depends, like what exactly are you interested in? Because I don't particularly believe in completely throwing casting your net so wide. I feel like you cast your net in wide, but in a niche, with a niche of skills. Because there are so many skills in the data world. You can't learn everything. You're just one person. You can't stretch yourself thinking you're going from course to course next week. Python course, next thing you're in Power. Next thing I'm on Tableau, you're in Power BI. Next thing you're in Locker. Next thing you're in Google Studio, whatever. Next thing you're learning SAS and SAS, which is actually another relevant language, but in another completely and Stata, which in another completely different industry. So you have to create yourself to that industry. Like Adebayo just said, begin with them. You see that, and that's the end. That's where you want to be. So you create yourself as a product to what the customers need, which are, the employers. That's what I also put academia there, the college, research associates, research analyst, research officer. Can we just look up some of those roles? I'm like, okay, this is something I'm interested in. Let me try and create myself for what's available. So moving forward, usually with every career, you start entry level. Some of you might be maybe too big to start to entry level. Maybe you actually have some skills enough to start mid level. But if you're completely changing careers, a lot of times you start entry level just as a data analyst intern. Might not be responsible for a lot, but as you go higher in the cadre, you're going to have a whole lot of responsibility leading projects. At one point, you're not even the one actually, doing a lot of the data analysis anymore. You're just directing people, guiding new young minds on, how your project and the business impact that you want to get. So I was trying to say, like in the beginning, know the end goal, your career path, the jobs you like to start. Then from there, curate your path step by step from there. See, when it comes to the tools, these are some essentially broad tools I use across the market, especially in the data field. I put a gold star in Excel because like probably 90% of almost all businesses now still use Excel. Still a huge standard. I don't particularly use it myself unless need be in some projects, but a lot of small businesses, medium to even small, even some large scale businesses, they haven't completely completed that digital transition into using maybe automation tools like Python or R or Tableau and Power BI. A lot of them still basically just use Excel and Microsoft Word. You write your simple formulas in Excel and get their simple numbers. So it's not great because the entire thing it's prone to error since it's still clearly a largely manual process. I've seen some people do some things with Excel that I didn't think were possible. And it's still a super fast tool in a lot of industries. I just don't have that skill, which probably which I wish I did to an extent. But yeah, I'm more skilled in R, Python, data processing and automation, SQL, database management, and applied mostly using dashboard tools much as Power BI. A lot of the skills in using dashboards like Power BI, Tableau, Looker, a lot of them are to an extent interchangeable. It's not a hard sell to transition from one or the other. But sometimes it's just good to start with one, get better with that, knows the in and outs of that, and then you get better. Like even when it comes to Python and R, you start with one, don't do both. Because then you might find yourself very confused. Start with one, at least get to know the basics. Pick up projects. The don't be stuck in courses endlessly month on month. Oh, I want to go to basic course. Oh, there's a medium course or boot camps for months, years. My opinion is immediately you know the basics, start a project. That's could be a simple project. Just start any project because sometimes you can get up in the constant education, where you don't feel ready enough, you don't feel ready enough. But in all honesty, unless you're a super expert, most of the times you're still gonna have to use Google to Google everything you need to do on every new different project. If it's a novel project, sometimes it's just about knowing, okay, what is this tool capable of, and how can I find the solution to get to where I want it to get. If it's just basic automations, basic wrangling, there are a lot of tools online. But if it's sometimes a bit more complex, even if it's machine learning, using Python or that, it's possible a lot of times. Just Google, you find your answers there when it comes to it. And also when it comes down to SQL, which is the main database management system almost every industry is using. You can't be in data in this day and age and not know some SQL. You'll be surprised how easily it is to learn, but you still need to know something. Even if you just select star from different. Eventually, when you understand what I mean, even if it's just right, select. It reads like English. But the point is, don't be afraid to learn new things. And like I said before, your career path will determine what tools you're getting. If I mentioned something as SaaS, I think that's the tool of choice in some pharmaceutical industries. They use SaaS. If you find yourself like, oh, I want to be mainly in the pharmaceutical industry, or I think in some finance industries, they mainly use SaaS as their analytic tool. If you say you want to be in some epidemiology, say some of them prefers I can't remember that's the exact SPSS. And that's the tool of choice in some epidemiological circles and some status. So there's a myriad of tools, but like I said, you pick a career path, research that career path, look at those job vacancies for that career, look at what they're asking for. It's those tools that they ask for that you go and learn, not you pick a tool and then force the people who are trying to hire you like, no, I have this, but I can do this. But it's what they want that you need to create yourself towards. Okay, moving forward. So this is just sort of like just simple concepts you probably learn in data. I'm sure some of you are familiar with like some data visualizations, descriptive analytics, basically summary of historical data and identifying trends, patterns. So a lot of times data is just data until you turn it into viable information that can be used and insight that can be used by business partners or the people who don't quite understand it. And that's when they come to people like you who are more conversant in the data or using those tools or identifying those trends or trying to forecast those outcomes and trends and like, okay, what should we do? What can I do? What can I do with this? That's where you come in as a data expert and try and get that. That's of course down the line, but that's how things usually go. So I know this is always going to be where things are going forward, where people are going to like, oh, it's AI versus humans. The AI is going to take all these data jobs. What you have to know most like it's not you versus the AI, it's you versus another person who knows how to use AI to get to where they want to be. So you're not fighting, you're not competing with AI for jobs. You're competing with other humans who are AI enabled or basically AI skilled to get to the answers they want to get. So, and there are some things that, to the point, at this current situations, AI can't take over completely. It takes a special kind of human being to, how do I say, it takes a special kind of being to connect scarcity of potato in the market to why government funds are failing or why one particular person is embezzling. Those kind of things, of course, AI can't make those kind of partly, I would say, unnecessary connections, but it takes a certain kind of je ne sais quoi and creativity to make those connections that aren't so common in the world. So the AI isn't so creative. It's just based on the data it has, and it tries to create answers based on that data it has. But as humans, you have that unique skill to observe and make those connections based on your creativity, which, of course, is one of those skills I was going to come down to. Those are the things that separate you from the thinking skills, those critical thinking, those creativity, innovation. Those are the kind of things that, because and we all know AI is prone to mistakes. But you're human, you have to leverage your superpowers, get more empowered with AI, and then battle that with other human beings who don't necessarily have that. Going back a it. Okay. Yes. Going to next. And here it comes to the part of data literacy. I know how data literacy cannot be understated in any way. But I actually dedicate a slide to it because it's data literacy that basically drives growth in an industry, in you as a person, in a business, and in career when it comes to your career path. Because when you are data literate, as you can see, you can't be data literate across every industry. Data literacy usually applies mainly to your industry of focus. The same way someone can be a healthcare expert, at the same time, you can't be a finance expert. So when you see healthcare data, you're a bit more data literate in that compared to someone who comes from the finance industry and like, okay, what's going on here? Where's this data coming from? So I think a lot of people are saying like, so when you see in the healthcare sector, so when you see a patient's information, when they tell you is pale, is eteric, temperature is at a certain degree, like, your mind starts to think like, okay, you've gotten a lot of data points from this, from left, from right. Where do you put it all together and make that informed decision? That is basically what data literacy is about. You're harnessing your domain knowledge and the data within that sector to enable the businesses, departments make strategic decisions and drive efficiency in their respective sectors. That's basically, and of course, to you personally as a person, the more data literate you are, the more you can produce actionable business insight, which can drive growth, and you become a leader in that industry. Because then people, when they're trying to make any decisions, like they come to you. What do you think we should do? Because even you as a person, like, the data. Like, when anytime there's a question like it comes to mind, what data can support this question? What data can I use to answer this question? What data would even negatively prove this hypothesis or positively support the hypothesis? So where do we need to go and what data can we drive it? Do we have the data? If we don't have data, can we get it? And when we get it, okay, so now can we use that data to inform our decisions? It's basically, okay. Well, job comparisons, like I say, there's a lot of technical and soft skills when it comes to data. I think I looked through the report of I think the UK labor market and highlighted some things where they said, okay, recent graduates are falling short, or some people, especially in the information management and database management. And some other things they felt were necessary. Exactly, like I said, domain knowledge. You can't you can't make headway in any industry without domain knowledge. You might have the skills, you might have data skills, but then you still need someone with that domain knowledge to put you through, to make you more data literate in that sector. There's no escaping it. And that's where you set yourself apart. Let's say if you're a healthcare expert, as people who have that domain knowledge and can either drive business decisions towards the right path because of your vast domain knowledge, or even as consultants to help people who are basically just like I said, techie people, have some technical skills when it comes to programming, but they don't understand the data. They don't know what to do with data. They don't know what answers this data can lead. So just listed some skills, technical, soft skills. Some of the soft skills you're probably already using in your industry that are highly, I can only understand, highly important across, particularly in the data field, particularly communication. Sometimes people don't understand those numbers. They want it to be, there's thing about data storytelling. You want the story to be, how do these numbers translate into business insights that are actionable? How do you communicate these complex techniques you've used to get to these complex answers to help your business partners? Stakeholder management is always going to be there. You're going to be working with several people. You're thinking like getting into data isn't just about, just learning the tools called R, Python, Power BI. There's a lot of personal management involved. Yeah, and that's the external part. When it comes to you, like as yourself now, do you have an analytical mindset? It's always something you can develop, but do you have it right now? You have to be honest with yourself. Do you have that critical thinking? How creative are you? How good of a problem solver are you? And this, like, soft skills aren't things that some little times you're born with, but you can always develop. Yeah, and that's when you like, okay, you find out your shortcomings, like, okay, how can I become better at critical thinking? How can I become better at, improve my communication skills, verbal and written, because we all know how emails can be misinterpreted nowadays. And how do you improve your analytical skills as a person when it comes to, like, you see the data, like, okay, and also that also comes with the creative, like, what kind of questions can I answer this with this data? Sometimes you don't even have, they can't come with problems. They also like, okay, give us solutions that can help drive our business impact. Give us problems that can help, give us solutions that can help, our patients. What's going wrong? They don't know something is going wrong. All is just like they're not as efficient as they could be. And that's like, as a data person, you try and like, look at that data, like, okay, what kind of insights can this drive? Can we make our surgical rooms more efficient? Can we help reduce if infection control? Is there something data can have that can help inform that? People are just getting too many patients or too many visitors, and during those particular days, or maybe, like I said, our staff is a bit too stressed, and when they're a bit too stressed, they don't perform well. They're seeing 100 patients a day, and that also like affects our business outcomes. But the data is there. It might be there, might not be there. Can we get the data, and can we answer the question? Yes. If you're just starting out, this basically, you can see this is you. And what I'm trying to depict is like, always going to be a long journey from you right now to that endpoint where, and also data savvy, you're the manager at one business, one company, whichever one you decide, whichever industry. But in the forest of your journey, there's always going to be more information. Let's just see that as more data everywhere, left, right, and center. And even right now, you are standing on data. You don't have to wait until you get in that industry to start being more data savvy or more data literate or being in that role. In your current role now is something that you can do. What data are you working with? What data do you think that can drive your organization for? What data can you think can drive your department for? What data do you think can inform better business decisions? Even if you don't think your industry or your organization is mature enough, but I was getting like right now, I recently started collecting data on all the matches I'm watching recently now. Like, okay, I'm of course basically a walking data point. So now I'm keeping track of the matches I'm watching, who I'm playing home, who's playing home and away, and the amount of minutes I've spent. And this season, hopefully one day I'll probably collate as like, okay, this was the team I most watch. I know the answer is going to be Arsenal, but eventually he's going to be Arsenal because this is the team I most watch. But the amount of time I actually spent watching football games across the entire of the football season, which countries were these teams based on. So basically, we're all working data points. We produce vast amount of data on a daily basis. You don't have to be in a business that does that to develop those skills, to actually be able to use those tools. You can actually see yourself like, okay, you're a data set yourself. Can I practice? What am I interested in that I can use to practice on my, well, what's interested? Like I used to practice on myself to build those data skills or use those tools. I'm choosing myself as a test subject. Sometimes you could look at, if you have a smartwatch, there's a lot of data in that. You want to try tracking your, apart from what the watch is giving you a health insight, can you put something else there? Can you see when you're most stressed or maybe one particular time when you're talking or the bills have entered, your temperature levels you have to pay has gone up at the end of the month, or the times, so can you make correlations to make when you send money out of your account to how bad you feel your mood that day. So there are a lot of funny data points you could always make and curate. It's an interesting world that we're all piles of working data points, and you don't have to actually you don't have to rely on your job alone to practice these skills. You can pick any industry. Like if you're a fan of food, there's data sets on food, there's data sets on other sports, there's data sets on finance, if that's something you're interested in. Just try and use what you love or what you're interested in, to drive your learning and improve your learning habits. And that might help you just, bridge the gap, trying to like in skills in this industry. So don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. And in that the UK labor market report, like said, almost every new job nowadays, 7 out of 10 jobs require data skills. It doesn't have to be in depth, but you require some data literacy because the world is moving towards being more data literate, and it's more data literate people that will usually drive growth and end up taking more leadership positions. That's usually how it goes. And also from the US labor statistics expects about 34% from now to 2034 in jobs in that data analytic field, which is still a lot, about 3% year on year. So there's space. The market is, people like to say the market is saturated, but I don't think it is. There's space for growth, and the growth is there, and it's higher than other industries, as anticipated by the US labor market. And the median salary for that is about over 100K. I wouldn't mind a cut of that, to be honest. Maybe closer to that if I'm, but sometimes it makes me think, maybe my future sometimes may lie in the US. Well, I'm currently in the UK now, but let's just see how that goes. And yes, another thing I was going to show you people, and a skill that you would not want to underestimate is your resilience if you are completely trying to pot into those completely different jobs, is that sometimes I go get a lot of unfortunately. As you can see, this is not someone else, this is my email box. You can see, and I've had unfortunately. And you have to develop that resilience. Like, you're going to be told no a lot, but also you have to tell them sometimes, like, you take the feedback you can, but also tell yourself it's not your loss, it's their loss. They lost the opportunity of having you as a great employee to provide your data insights to that. So don't take it too hard. It happens. Sometimes there are people that have more than 100 of these or 50 of this or 2 of this and they give up. It doesn't happen that way. You're going to have to take a few no's. And if you're one of the lucky people that you're the first job you apply for, you get a yes. Great. But just know as you keep up now, there's no how eventually in some jobs you won't hear some no's. And you can see, even me, well, I say how many, 4 or 5 years in the industry, I'm still hearing no's on a monthly to yearly basis, doing different things. It's part of the gig. We understand it, something that happens. That's just basically what I was going to show you. So don't give up, to be honest. Don't give up. If you really want to be in that industry, want to be data analyst, data scientist, public health analyst, you're going to hear some no's, but don't let those no's discourage you from and well, I think that's basically it for now. I know there's going to be a few questions. I probably was going to drop some information later, but I think anyone who needs, proper guidance, I probably reach me on my LinkedIn, Lolu. We can have a one-to-one conversation, text. I'm available to help people try and, get better, give you tools, give you some personal one-to-one. I don't like to say the word mentorship. I said like say maybe guidance. Even me say I define mentor, but like say guidance or like what I see, what I think you need, how you can improve, what you're struggling with, what is the solutions, so you can start applying get yourself out there. Okay, let's get you in your first data job. Your first data job might be your current job, but just data powered, because there are a lot of people already here probably already working with data. I don't know which department doesn't have some data in it or doesn't produce some presentations. And in those presentations, there's some data in it. Could you volunteer to be the one to produce those presentations? Could you volunteer to be the one to collect that data? That's obviously improving your skills. Could you volunteer to be the one to analyze that data and present it? All those skills we mentioned and all those tools, that's you basically applying yourself within your current role. So you don't have to leave that current role to get that data analyst, data science experience. So yeah, in closing, thank you for having me, Dr. Ron. Thanks for listening to my tech talk, I guess. I'm not sure if there are any questions.
That's fine. It's been insightful. I think I even picked a couple of things myself. So if you've got any questions, please just raise your hand. I've got a couple myself, but probably let you guys go first. So you can just unmute yourself and, ask your question. Or you can pop it in the chat if you're probably too shy or something.
Don't worry, we're all shy. Even myself, I'm still quite shy.
Let me check. So while we wait for questions to come up, so I have a couple. So it's good you mentioned the soft skill because I saw that presentation where you talked about all the skills that are required. So from your experience, from your own day-to-day work now, which ones would you say like are the really most important ones for people to have?
I think I gave data literacy as its own slide, because it's relevant to every industry. I would say be more data literate in your own industry if that data is available. Communication skills, well, it's also part of data literacy, being able to read, understand, create, and communicate data into, actionable insights or information. So I think as you climb the ladder, as you're lower on the table, you're probably dealing with less people.
Yeah.
But as you climb the ladder, there's more people management and stakeholder management involved. So in the beginning, like I think I mentioned, data literacy, because it's an ongoing process. You can never be too data literate.
Yeah.
Continuous learning. You can never be too data literate. Something like you continuously train yourself to develop even new business insights, because you're not the business itself is vast. So the data literacy, the communication skills, the trying to develop the analytical mindset, trying to develop that analytical, especially in the beginning, being creative, trying to develop it. And also, like, also trying to develop that courage, which isn't there. Well, I think you just need to be more courageous. So that you aren't always going to have direction on where to go. It's in that way you develop more courage, to say, okay, no, let's try this. Let me raise your voice and say, okay, this is what I think would be more appropriate. But yeah, those are the main things. Those analytical skills, communication skills, being more data literate. I think I mentioned most of them. Yeah, communication skills. You can't those particular four. Even till now, always trying to improve my communication skills. It's an ever learning process. Soft skills, they don't stop.
Yeah.
Can never be too developed in most of them anyway. I think in any project, in any course.
Thanks for that. So I think Tommy sent a question in the chat. He's saying, could you mention a platform you advise for one to start learning?
Start learning, yeah. Well, I think that's I partially left that off the presentation because there's just so much. There's so much things when it comes into training and resources. There's a lot. So it depends on it really depends on, like I mentioned, the end in mind. What career pathway are you hoping to get, and what tools are they mentioning in those job advertisements that, okay, this is what we want the candidate to have? So let's say it's something that has to do with Python or R, Power BI. There are a lot of free tools. I won't say free. Well, there are some like Data Camp. I know that there are quite a few organizations that offer scholarships into that. If it's less videos and it's completely free. There is Kaggle. Kaggle has an education section where you can just learn the basic of Python, learn the basic of data visualization. How will I say? Even R. How R has a package in it that actually teaches you R while using R. So it actually has a training package in it. So I wouldn't say any platform, because there are a lot. Try and get some free ones. Start practicing on Kaggle. If you learn the basics, YouTube. I can't remember. I forgot the University of YouTube. University of YouTube is highly underrated. It's free code camp as well. I know people go there for not just data analytics, but a lot of myriad of tech courses there. Free code camp is one. So just start anywhere. Where starting where doesn't matter. Just start. Start with the basics, or what has been chosen. Start with the basics, and then immediately start a project. Can you learn the basics within 3 months? Learn basics within 3 months. I can remember when I started a master's. Think of what sometimes I think the interesting matter is whether you say dead by 1,000 cuts or you're thrown into the frying pan instantly. Giving maybe just 1 month exposure with R and then the project. Of course, I had a lot of sleepless nights trying to understand what I was trying to do. I was like, my brain was broken. Just your brain will break, you be frustrated. We are all frustrated in the tech field when we start. Even there are still seniors who are frustrated when code is not working or is not doing exactly what it needs to be. But Google is your friend. Google is your friend. Know how to use Google. Know how to read code documentation. what you need. Just ask Google, use some particular things. What do you need for that? It will completely help. So try and shake up that fear. You'll be confused. You will be confused. That's the normal thing. You will be confused. But then you need to push after like a while, a week, 2 weeks, like, okay, that makes sense. I was like, at one point, like, I wonder why you were actually afraid of that. And like, there was no big deal to it. But that's just how it starts. So just start. That's the only thing I can tell you. Just start. I think most people would say that kind of thing, though, when it comes to businesses as well. But this is, it's low, what's the word? Low risk. You're in your house and not spending any money. Just watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, thanks for that. So iPhone user says, for a newbie who has no knowledge about data analysis, where and what do I start with?
You'll be surprised. iPhone, do you mind sharing your industry or what you do currently as well? Do you mind? Waiting for you in the chat, because you'll be surprised how much already, like to an extent, you're using some data in your industry. Because help you when you talk about even people, everyone that did their, let's say, little to no. If you've done your project in school, whether your final degree project, there's a degree to some data analysis done there. And if you want to talk about your day-to-day job, you make decisions on a day-to-day. The question is, do you make those decisions based on any data-driven information, and how did that data come about? When you talk about, oh, even in your life, when you're thinking of budgeting or how you're spending, you're basically analyzing your data. How much am I spent? How much did I spend for the past 3 months? I spent like 1.3, 1.2 million, like in naira, it was not in pounds, 1.3 million. But my salary is 1.3, so 1.5. So I only have like a K spending left. I have to now, like, based on the rest of my life, I cut the food to that. So those are the kind of things sometimes you will see in data, like basic statistics, mean, mode, median, something you should try and learn. I know they taught most of us in economics in secondary school, but something you go back to and learn. If it's something you're struggling with, like say YouTube is there. There are some free courses on Coursera for that. There's also Brilliant. If anyone knows Brilliant, it's like a not free, to an extent, it's affordable, interactive learning tool app on your phone. Every day you can do lessons about, 5 to 10 minutes lessons, and just build learned about who knows James Clear habits. Try to build those micro habits, stack it somewhere. So you'll be surprised in a few months what you are actually empowered with. And that's something you can do. It's not about doing everything all at once. About, okay, step by step gains, little, no matter, even if you're moving 0.1 to improving your knowledge. That's just like, I didn't know everything in the beginning. I don't know everything now either. I'm still gonna keep on building. That's my knowledge piece. So if you want to start, as I said, you can start with basic statistics, basic your business now, what the industry you're working. How do I build an analytical mindset? Every decision you make, do we have data to support that? Can we get that data? That data available? Yeah, just can basically start with that for now.
So I hope that's helpful for iPhone user. Then Brenda is asking, with AI doing more of the number crunching and reporting, how do you think data analyst roles will change, and what should we focus on to stay relevant?
Well, I think I mentioned it's always going to be AI versus your brain. Even though AI can do some number crunches, it isn't infallible. It still makes mistakes. It now depends on how much do you trust. A lot of industries will never fully trust the output of AIs without a human being validating those outputs. So you as a person, you're not just like, oh, what is this AI? Take the AI's output verbatim. You look at it like, okay, you interrogate it, even though the answers came out fast. Are there any errors in the AI logic or the output of the numbers? What numbers are off that you need to like cross check? Basically like you're looking at another colleagues work actually correct. What's wrong there? Go through that validation process. And like I said, it's not always going to be just the AI doing the number crunching. What will beat you out or data roles will change is a human being using AI to make himself work faster. That's just basically how it's going. I use AI at work in different ways. My probably not even always in the analytical way, in different ways at work. I use AI even to a point to even start, the building blocks of this presentation. Didn't do everything, but it made me get to my endpoint fast. And that's how most data roles will be. A lot of times, I think would go more, data analysts would go more into the validation phase. You could probably be a lot more AI empowered data analysts and are actually just validating AI work or working using AI to make themselves more efficient. I don't think it's going to be completely, well, with this iteration of AI, completely, because AI can't completely do critical thinking, can't do creativity, you can't start stakeholder managing people because you can't really read emotions or read tone or voices that way. You're just going to keep on agreeing. I think those chatters. Those tell that's it. Yeah, it's not going to tell you no. Like, even as a data analyst, you're going to have to tell people no, no, oh, no, that's not the right way to go. That's not the right decision based on this data. Because they can still make some people can still choose to make gut decisions, not trusting the data. But then your role as a data analyst will be always be to, provide insight, data-driven, actionable insights. Whatever the business leaders decide to take, that's their own. It's their business, I guess.
All right, Brenda, I hope that's helpful. Then Paula is saying, thank you for coordinating this meeting. So most health sector oriented data analysis jobs require you to have some level of domain knowledge and know about the applications used. How would someone coming from a totally different sector acquire this knowledge?
So I think a lot of times when it comes to that, the health tech sector itself is wide. From the systems, from hospital system to emergency services to people will talk about private healthcare and then health insurance. So it actually now depends on which of these sectors you're trying to and what kind of data you're trying to. Because in the healthcare sector, every healthcare sector, as I've mentioned, has a business side. It has business. So the business side can be your entry point, depending on what kind of role you're trying to. But if you want to be mainly in health, basically has to do with health data and patient healthcare data, a lot of times you might have to start with getting the tools they use in that area, maybe doing a few courses and also starting at the bottom because you can't get that domain knowledge in the center. Years of developing that domain knowledge is not transferable. It's completely not transferable. You either have to listen to people who have had that and start to build your own domain knowledge slowly, or enter through the business side, as I would suggest, and understand from that business side, translate not like, okay, is it mainly patient data you need or patient healthcare sector oriented data analysis you want to do? Then you might need to take a few more courses, go for maybe some diploma courses based on that for a few months to try and build that knowledge and start reading because the domain knowledge data is it's not free. It doesn't come it doesn't come without sweat. It doesn't come without the hard work. It doesn't come. I've probably spent more than 10 years in the health field. Even right now, I'm in a health industry, more in the emergency services, and there are still things that people who have been there longer than I have still have to tell me. There are some things, of course, I'm the authority on, but there are also things where on this business they are the authority on in this sector itself. So you're gonna have to build from ground up, depending on which sector, and start to read, get some courses, diploma courses, free courses on Coursera. So there are a lot of healthcare analysis in healthcare. You see that there are some on LinkedIn. So it really just depends on what healthcare sector you want to. And there are some that, like I said, they're transferable. If it's business, there are a lot of things in business you can use in business, in healthcare or business. Finance does not change in most places. The business of finance, business of operations, the business of resource management, business of budgeting, people management. They're all let's say pieces of the healthcare sector. There's always a business side. So if it's then you want to be more niche, then I probably have to start a bit more at the lower cadres, build up domain knowledge, do a few courses here and there to build that knowledge. I think that's the best thing. Well, if you want to talk more about it, drop me a message on LinkedIn and we can try and go more in depth on what you're trying to get into.
Probably just to chip in here, I think another helpful thing to do in terms of this domain knowledge is actually looking for people who are in those spaces and having conversations with them to understand what is it that you actually do day to day, what are the important things I need to sort of know. Because I'm just speaking from, I used to do like business analysis role and, currently doing project management. It's not like I just jumped from medicine into these domains. So I had to constantly reach out to people who were like business analysts, project managers. What do you guys do? What do I need to learn? And like Lolu said, now go back to YouTube because there are tons of videos that we tell you a lot of the things that you need to learn and all of that. Then sometimes you have to pay small money to do some paid courses. Everything cannot be free. Exactly. I know some courses that have cost me an arm and leg, but what can I do? But yeah, I think that's it, really.
Zoom user.
Zoom user, go ahead.
Hey, thank you for this insightful session. You sound very knowledgeable. How long have you been doing this, if I may ask?
Doing what exactly?
What you're doing?
I think in data, I've probably been in the data sector, transition about 4 years now. Yeah, so I've been here for 4 years. I'm counting.
Well, you're doing really well. My question is, can you give an example of where data analysis, changed a business decision?
Okay, if I was to do, because I mainly work as a data scientist, my current job, but like I said, a lot of times, let's say data business decision, I think a lot of times you underestimate that even in let me say from my personal experience, the business side people, they came to me like, okay, we're thinking of recruiting let's say we're thinking of recruiting this set of consultants. I'm just put like we have different cadres, some just normal, some like advanced consultants. And I'm like, okay, so can we find, and the data we're saying is telling us that well, their hypothesis was that the consultants are performing better on the job compared to the people on the normal cadre. Yeah, okay. Question is, can we find the data to support that? And then learn outside, like, okay, let us go into the data. Let's compare the numbers. Let's compare, like, their performances when it comes to patient care, when it comes to being efficient. Then when at the end of that, we realized that there wasn't really any difference in the performance for each of them. And then they're like, okay, we can't move forward with this decision because there actually isn't any data to support that decision. So that's basically how
Interesting.
it works usually.
Well, thank you.
I could actually give you another example. Do you have another question? Go ahead.
No. I was just going to chip in, right? I realized this session is being recorded. Where can we find the clip just to go through it one more time?
Did you register for the session or you just got the link?
I just got it and joined.
Hold on, I'll send you a link to register, then you get it, the recording. That's
Okay.
all right.
Thank you. And that's me now.
Then the example I wanted to chip in is just like Lolu said. So most times things like this, you want to make a decision, but you're looking for something to validate this. So for example, now we had on a project, right? So we're trying to employ more people, right? The question was, they were complaining work is too much, we're too busy, we're doing that, and we need more help. And the question is, okay, do we really need more people on the job? Or is it a question of you guys are not managing yourself well and all of that? So basically, we needed to understand what it is people are actually doing on a day-to-day basis. So part of what they did is maybe things like answering telephone calls, things like visiting patients on the ward, things like the different activities. They started timing each of those activities. So by the time you do that for a month, now you now see the clear data to say, okay, we have 6 people on the team. They're probably managing the helpline or something, and they're spending like 24 hours in a month receiving 500 calls. And you see the stat breakdown. You now actually start seeing the data breakdown. Then it becomes a question of, okay, at this point, no, we don't think you guys actually need more hand. We just need to efficiently distribute what it is you guys are doing. Because some people will say, oh, we are overstressed. Why are they overstressed? Is it that some people are on leave?
Yeah.
That is why it looks like there is more work happening in the team. Or maybe people are off sick or something, or is there peak demand somewhere, or you're getting more referrals. All of those, by the time you start analyzing asking those questions, it now tells you, oh, we actually need to get more hands, or no, we don't need to get more hands, or we need to improve your processes. Because sometimes it's the data that tells you what it is that you probably need to do, but you need to know how to ask the right questions. Then people like Lolu can now, find all the data points, crunch the numbers, and now present. Oh yeah, see what we've collected. This is the story it is telling. then you guys can now decide as execs or something.
Yeah, like you mentioned, that is always, I think that's always a common thing across any industry. Okay, well, let's look at the historical trends and see, okay, where we're coming from. Especially when it comes to like hiring more people or more hands. Do we have that? The question, like, do we even have the money for that?
Yeah.
Critical cost, like, how can we make ourselves, like you mentioned, that, are people taking too many meal breaks? Is one person not even logging on into the system and just checking, or people just, actually not showing up for work as much as they should? Like you said, try and make yourself efficient, and then the execs decide. You presented the story to them, presented the data to them, you presented the insights to them, and then what's left for them is for them to make a data-driven decision.
Thank you once again.
So I want to ask, which industry are you currently working?
Oh yeah, I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
I'm looking to start a business. That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Let me see. Is there any other question in the chat? Let me just check. No, I can't see anyone. The another question I had for you, Lulu, probably my last question, is, I mean, a lot of people, we talk about all this transition, left, right, and center, but a lot of people don't tell you the stories that happen behind the scenes, right? So you've mentioned like rejections, all the unfortunately that people will get. That one is normal, because me, I was getting down like back to back, I wanted to ask about, so looking at your current role now, one thing I constantly ask people is like, how fulfilled are you in your, based on the transition? Because it's something I feel people should be sort of aware of. Are you happy? Again, that also depends on your choices anyway, but this is your own personal perspective.
Well, I think, like you said, it's something that can always like change based on which industry you're in and which organization you're in, and what are the benefits are there, or how are you being managed. And then you have like, okay, how's your time being spent, and as well as how's the day to day. Usually I think day to day I'm pretty happy with the people I'm working with. I think with every organization there's always organizational politics. I think that's something people, they don't always tell you about, but as you go further, there's always going to be politics and people to deal with. I'm pretty happy with the transition, whereas some people might think that, okay, maybe at this point I probably took a slight pay cut, because I had to start all the way from coming from a medical background. I had to start all the way from the bottom and then build myself back up. I think this is my third job in 4 years. Yeah, my third job. And we're still climbing. We're still climbing. We're relatively happier, or I'll say happier. Let's say more satisfied with the fact that I'm not constantly doing the same thing every other day. Sometimes I think sometimes the clinical job, unless you're maybe in emergency, can get a bit monotonous. Like I said, no pay, no parlor, continue management, BP 120, 80, I've gotten a bit monotonous, and there's a bit more flexibility in tech roles, I mean in data, when it comes to, working remotely. But I think the part I probably do enjoy sometimes is, well, I think, like I said, is the analytical thinking part. It's like there's always a new question to delve into. There's sometimes that you might be excited about a new question, but they won't let you answer the question. Maybe that's not what the business feels is priority at that point in time. And then business priorities will always take absolute precedence. Whatever, even though you think like, okay, it's this might be revolutionary to change things, but then you have to like, kind of like play the politics, talk to people, try and get people to understand and get more to your side, so that, okay, you get more executive buy-in to the project. So I think that's basically it. So maybe on the scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably like an 8 currently in the transition.
It's high.
Yeah, it's probably like really high. If I look back at it in terms of, okay, what I'm earning comfortably, okay, flexibility. I don't have to wake up 6 a.m. to get to the hospital, do any more night calls, or get any beeps. The patient is this. I'm sure you two relate to that.
I'm done with that life right now.
Exactly. So it's mainly, I think, apart from it, what mainly sets it apart in data is, I think there's a lot of analytical thinking, trying a lot of problem solving, a lot more problem solving that. But I enjoy looking at the numbers, coming up with some different techniques, machine learning techniques, or just sometimes just summaries that can answer the question. So yeah, I think it's not a question I come across or something I reflect on enough, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm pretty. Let's say satisfaction is high currently. It's high currently.
So those who are thinking of getting into the space, so probably this might sound reassuring that yes, you'll be happy
Yeah.
when you get in.
You know the funny thing, sometimes, well, maybe it's just me. That sometimes when I'm dreaming, I'm still dreaming of questions to answer. I think that's part of some things of the tech role, so that sometimes you don't quite leave the role at work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's as you're problem solving, you're still problem solving. I think when I was learning, like I mentioned, I was trying to solve the project, dreaming. I was dreaming about my assignments, and I'll have maybe my eureka moments in my dream. It was odd, but satisfying when I woke up. Okay, I think it worked. There's always that it finally worked. Not broken. I found the solution. I think that's basically it. So it's quite interesting. That's what is interesting. Questions?
All right, that's fine. Let me just check again if there's any other question. Does anybody have any question again? Because we're wrapping up. I think well within the time frame we budgeted for this. Let me just
Yes, right on the hour. So happy.
where's the there's the chat section again.
We had a lot of. Oh, some people actually joined after quite late though.
Yeah, they'll get the recording and we could probably reach out if they still have some extra questions. Let me see.
Yeah, you can. Like I said, you can drop me a message on or connect
LinkedIn.
with Lolu, bro, and then
Let me see now.
we can.
Can't see any other questions, so I guess nobody has any other question.
Yeah, they're all very knowledgeable.
All right, that's fine. Thank you so much, Lulu, for this session. I believe everybody has picked up one or two things from this session. So when the recording is ready, I'll push it out. And I guess, yes, that's for that. And look out for the next session, probably next month anyway. Try to do this on a monthly basis anyway. So thank you guys for coming. See you in the next one.
Thanks so much for having me.